You've read all the experts' blog posts about what you should put in your web development portfolio. You've seen all the YouTube videos about how to craft the most amazing portfolio that will get you the highest paying work. But today, I'm going to share a tip I bet you haven't heard. Now, I'm not saying that no freelance web developer should ever have a portfolio. All I'm really saying is that you probably put a lot more stock in it and maybe a lot more time in it than you should. I want you to think about why you're building the portfolio. What is the job it's supposed to do? The answer to that is that it's supposed to build trust with people who could become your clients. And the next question we need to explore a little bit is that the best way to build trust with people who might become your clients? And then that sort of fans out into all sorts of other questions. How are these people going to find your portfolio? How is your portfolio going to stand out from someone else? Is someone going to hire you just because they saw your portfolio? Imagine, just for a minute, a business owner who you'd like to work for, who is not technical, not an engineer. They don't develop software themselves. Now you give them a link to your portfolio. What are they going to do with that? They probably don't really have the skills they would need to pull up that portfolio, take a look at it, and decide whether or not you're an engineer who's capable of solving the problem they need to solve. So what have you really even shown them? I guess you've shown them that you have done some kind of work, but that doesn't really set you apart from anyone else. Now, what would be more effective for that same individual? Would it be seeing that portfolio or trusting you because you've already established that trust through an interpersonal relationship with them? And that just means that you've been reliable, you've been willing to share and help, you've been candid, you've been human, you've been relatable, all those things that we like to see in other people that make us feel like we can trust them. For the kinds of clients a lot of new web developers need to be seeking as new budding freelancers, the technical approach to selling, handing them a portfolio or a GitHub URL and saying, okay, here you go evaluate my skills and hire me if you think I'm good enough. It's just not really effective. And since you are new, you don't want to go try to court those clients who would care about that stuff, because they're easily going to be able to see that, oh, well, you haven't had as much experience as this other person over here. You want to try to find clients who have a different set of criteria. And for those clients, that portfolio is not going to mean a lot. So why do we spend so much time and effort on them? That is an easy question to answer because it's a trap I've gotten caught in many, many times. As engineers, we love to build things, and we want to solve every problem by building software. By the way, I'm referring to us all as engineers here. You may not really think of yourself that way. I'm talking to web developers, software developers, people who identify as engineers. I'm talking to all those people. What we like to do is convince ourselves that whatever problem we're facing, in this case, getting clients, we can solve by going and applying the thing we love to do, applying our engineering, software development, web development skills to go build something on the web. Surely that'll fix the problem, right?
I've made a huge mistake.
In the case of getting work, it's probably just not the best tool for the job. So, what should you be doing instead? In the time of lockdown, building relationships means finding online communities, both of your peers, other developers, and of people who could be potential clients, and helping people in those communities, being active, just being visible. It's also creating content for the people you would like to work for that solves problems for them that they could discover on their own. Imagine a decision maker at a business you might like to work for is struggling with some sort of problem. They go to Google and they type in a question. What is that question? If you can answer that question, and if you can be that search result, they're going to click through and discover you. And by giving them free help when they're having a problem, you've built just a tiny little bit of trust and you've gotten their attention. It also can mean being active on social media. Any platform, really, where you can be visible and show that you're an expert to the people that you'd like to hire you. And it's also just maintaining the relationships you already had built in person before the lockdown. Email that other developer you met that you haven't talked to in a while, or the designer that you talked to 6 months ago. Email that person who you thought might become a client and they didn't. Ask them how they're doing. Ask them about a project of theirs that maybe you bid on and lost. After the lockdown, building relationships just means going out into the world and finding those communities, those in-person communities of your peers and the people that might hire you, and just embedding yourself there. Do all the same things I told you to do in the online communities, but do them in person. One of the coolest things I've noticed about trust is that, for lack of a better term, it's kind of viral. I think about the transitive property of trust. The transitive property in mathematics is if A equals B and B equals C, then A must also equal C. Trust works in really the same way. If Jane is struggling with a problem in her business and she talks to my friend Dan about it, and Dan knows that I could solve that problem, and Dan trusts me, then if Jane trusts Dan and Dan recommends me, by extension, Jane pretty much already trusts me. That same principle applies to everybody else Dan knows and all the other people that all of my friends know. So I may have built a relatively small network of people who know and trust me, but then they each have their own small networks, so my extended network becomes pretty large. All this to say, the next time you're thinking about dumping a bunch of hours into building a portfolio or beefing up your existing portfolio, I want you to think about whether you're doing the thing that's most effective to get what you want, or are you just doing the thing that's most comfortable or the most fun for you right now. Having a portfolio is definitely not a bad thing, but there are more effective ways to build the trust you need to get awesome freelance gigs. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one.